SSP-TV and the Hazleton Standard Speaker present Good Sports with Dave and Ken.
Welcome, everyone, to the Good Sports Podcast, Good Sports with Dave and Ken. I'm Ken Kara, SSP-TV Sports Director, joined by Dave Seaman, the Standard Speaker Sports Editor. Dave, feels great to be back, even though it's freezing in late May in Pennsylvania. It still feels good, though, to be out on location here at Rex Antonozzi Field for the Hazleton Area Cougar baseball program. Dave, they've made a lot of noise this year. You've got to cover them a lot. You've covered a lot of sports in this area. This is a special team doing some special things.
Yeah, when you look at their numbers, it's just like really off the charts. They're really putting together a historic year. You know, a team batting average better than 300, team ERA 1 point something, to a lot of talent. A lot of these players too you're going to be reading about at the college level, and it's at the big time college level too, when you got players going to Arizona and West Virginia, Florida State. Arizona's a team that's played in the College World Series. Florida State's a team that's played in College World Series. You know, Nick Biazzi going to Florida State and Brett Antolik going to Arizona. Then the other players too, like the Matt Shemanis and Ryan Verbonitz is going to play at the PSAC level too. Good programs too in Millersville and Mansfield too. They're outstanding programs, and players that we've never heard of too. The Jank Diaz is coming up too, a newcomer who's come onto the scene and has just blossomed as a player. And then you find out about these. There's a lot of interesting character too. A lot of teams, they have character. They have that camaraderie that they need to win, and I found that out about this team. And it's just you get to know these guys a little bit. Not only are they, great ball players, but they're outstanding in the classroom. They're fine, members of the community as well too. And you'll see that how well spoken they are too, and how much they care about one another and the success that they're having.
And Dave, we could jump right into it because there's so many players to talk with. You can almost talk with the whole roster here up and down of a bunch of great guys. I will make this one note before we jump into it, though. We're recording this. The regular season just wrapped up. They've wrapped up a perfect regular season, getting ready for the district playoffs. So that's where we're at. We're going to talk a little bit about the postseason, but mostly just about the character on this team and a lot of the talent. Our first guest is sophomore Brett Antolik, one of the many great pitchers on this Hazleton area team. And Dave, I think it's very handy, and I think all of your teammates should do this. Just wear the t-shirt where you plan on going to college, because it helps me keep track of everything. With so many players on this team committed to go to really, really good schools, representing the University of Arizona. Talk about that a little bit. Let's kick that off. You're a sophomore, but I mean, to kind of have that in the back of your mind that's where you want to go. What was that whole process like?
I mean, it was definitely long. This all past summer, every day, like talking to schools and stuff, but coming down, deciding Arizona definitely was a relief off my chest, but it just motivates me to get better.
Can you believe that eventually beautiful Pennsylvania late Mays like this will be in your past?
I mean, honestly, not really. I don't think reality has hit me yet. I don't think I'll be complaining, though, when it does, so.
Obviously, though, a lot of business to take care of here with the Hazleton Area High School. We mentioned we're recording this just before the district playoffs begin. Getting to this point, you guys just seemed like you went on this tear. The whole season, really, but especially at the end of the season. What was that like, and how much hard work went into that? People might have thought, oh, hey, look, they're so talented, this is easy. How much hard work went into the results on the field this season?
I mean, I'd definitely say every practice, almost every time we were out here working our hardest. Just as a team in general, we just kind of want to get better every day. So I definitely think that put together a good season.
How do you guys handle, like I said, we're right before the district playoffs, when someone in the community or someone says to you, or you hear maybe in school, well, hey, you guys should win a state title, right? No problem. I mean, how does the team handle that pressure and try to keep things in perspective?
I mean, I definitely think we hear that a lot throughout the community, but we just go game by game. And, hopefully if we keep working and winning, possibly that could happen.
Does it help? I mean, when you love I'm assuming how long have you been playing? How old were you when you started this game?
I mean, probably since I could throw a baseball, like 2 years old. I probably had a ball in my hand, so.
Now, give us the background a little bit. Obviously, your father, a very successful baseball player, but how did you get into the sport?
I think just being around him so much, he taught me at a young age, and I think ever since with my older siblings, they played. I always just followed them around, got to play baseball with them, which I think helped me a lot, just become a better baseball player.
And who are your siblings? I should remember this, but give me your siblings.
Brady Antolik, he's now a sophomore in college, going into a junior year. And my sister, Kira Antolik, she's now going to be a sophomore.
All right, so you had two very talented, athletic siblings as well. I remember watching Kira play, like, I believe in the outfield, and she was an outfielder, right? She's making some outstanding plays and enjoying that. So what were conversations like at home? Is it nonstop sports, or do you guys change the subject every now and then?
I mean, a lot of it is sports. I will say competition, no matter what it is. Outside of sports, I mean, it could be anything. We're always going to compete, so.
Your dad, obviously, a major leaguer, correct? Made it up with minors. With the New York Yankees, correct? Mm-hmm. Dave's my fact checker all the time. I love it. What's it like when you have a dad like that? Like, do you not think about it when you're little, or is it? What's it like growing up with Jeff and Tony?
When I was younger, I always thought about it a little bit, but now I think I kind of want to make my own name and do my own thing. But I definitely would like to be able to make it there one day.
Yeah, I was just saying, are you anything like your dad on the baseball field? Like, are there some similarities, or no, not really?
I mean, I don't think so. I think I'm probably a little bit more competitive than he was. But I mean, we're both pitchers, so.
I asked a number of the players on the team this year, Dave, when we did a story not too long ago on SSP TV with some of the team here at Hazleton. I said, what's the most amazing thing you've seen? There's so many talented players on this team. We just ended the regular season. What's the coolest thing you saw out on the field from one of your teammates this season?
I mean, honestly, I don't think there's been one. I think just as a team, all of us getting along and just playing together and for each other, I think that's the best thing to see.
You talk about the competitive. I mean, I know you guys are competitive. Everybody, you had this shutout streak at the end of the year. It got up to like almost 7 shutouts in a row or something. Talk about that competitive factor among your teammates, trying to outdo one another.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that helps us. Everyone's trying to fight for their own spot on the field. So I think that has really helped us move along and get in some games that have been tough. We've definitely worked through it, but as a team, it definitely helped us.
And you had this background too, like you talked about back in Little League. I remember covering you in Little League too. You had an outstanding team at Valley West back in 2017. I mean, that was way back when, but how much does that help too? Like
yeah,
going
I
through
definitely
that process?
think just from a young age, getting coached the right way, being around the right people, and just competing for like my whole life. I think that's helped me as a baseball player and as a person move along.
Brett, when I was here last time for practice, I could show some of the video right now. I think it was you and Matt Shimani racing up the front. Like, I was here for 3 minutes and there was already a competition at practice. And Coach Kansler was like, all right, I have the stopwatch. Let's see who could get up here the fastest. It was you and Matt. You flew, man. I mean, you got a lot of speed. You're kind of proud. Have you worked on that?
I mean, I will say I think I've always been naturally fast. Yeah. But I think I have put some work in like the weight room and stuff that's helped me for sure. But I think just competition, that always just gives you that little extra adrenaline pump to just try and beat everybody.
Who is the fastest guy on the team? I mean, you have Matt Shimani, Grant Russo's obviously very fast. Who is the fastest?
I would probably say me. They might disagree, but I think we all will say ourselves, but it's probably between like me, Matt, and Grant.
Brett, a lot of times this year, I mean, I guess you were itching to pitch because, Coach said you were on a kind of like a watch, like, we'll wait until the middle of April till you finally get it. How much that anticipation, nervous energy did you have before you pitched?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I'll say, like, I was waiting, like, the days were counting down. I was getting excited. I was getting pumped up. But I think that kind of, once I got out there, everything just left me, and I went back to doing what I do best.
I did notice when I was here too, I just have 2 more questions. One is you guys were doing like long toss here, and I was like, this can't be natural for a high school baseball team. I was like, this is a little, is that part of practice even competitive when you guys are like, I'm going to go back to the fence here and I'm going to...
I mean, it's not said to be competitive. I think everyone has that edge to see, like, let's see who could throw the farthest or let it loose, but...
Who's your favorite Major League player?
Yeah, probably Ohtani. I mean, he's unreal. But he's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I saw him hit a home run over the monster because I'm a big Red Sox fan, and he just like one-handed just flicked it over the monster. I was like, that's insane. Brett, thank you so much. Middle of practice, coming over here and spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Nick Biazzi joins us here on the Good Sports Podcast. If you're from the Hazleton area, you hear that last name, or anywhere, even if you're not a baseball fan, you're like, wait a minute, I think I know that name. Nick, next in a long line of outstanding players, and from Ridgewood, right? Is the strong Ridgewood connection. Dave, you know all about that. You're kind of like an extended member of that. You talk with all them frequently.
I just have to walk to interviews. It's the easiest thing. I don't get mileage for it. I just walked.
What has it been like covering them all these years?
These guys have been like fabulous to cover too, and Nick is just in, like you said, the latest in a line of great pitchers, great athletes, great young men more than anything too. And then you have the Planutis brothers too, were great to cover too. The Panzarella brothers too. So all in the neighborhood, and we all like to keep it fun. And Nick, like I said, Nick is just making a great name for himself and for Ridgewood, and it's an honor to cover him.
Yeah, Nick's two brothers both went off, Division I colleges, Penn State, and then both now got drafted? or
Both are drafted in professional baseball now, and Nick will be the next one.
Nick up next. Nick, so let me ask you this, because I just started playing the show not too long ago, and I made it to the postseason, and I was like shaking every at bat in the controller, and that was just on a video game. As we're recording this, you guys are getting ready for the postseason. Is it a little different even in high school, or have you been in a bunch of big games now where it's like, all right, let's just get this going?
I'm pretty confident, Yeah. I'm not that nervous. I know our team's really good, so should be confident.
You're pretty laid back. I mean, even all these years, like before games and that, you're just ready to go?
Yeah, I'd say.
What gives you that confidence in this team? Is it just the talent that you've seen so far, or you just mentally, you guys are prepared for this?
I just know we're ready to play. We have so much talent, but we're such a tight-knit group that, I know that we played better than any other team.
Regular season for you, what do you think went well, and what was something you'd like to work on as we go to the postseason here?
Probably hitting for average. I think that was what I need to work on. But, all my pitching, I felt good, and pretty much it.
Talk about the hitting. Do you think that came along more toward the end of the season, or is it something you still think is a work in progress?
No, it definitely came along. I knew, that I'd be a good hitter, and then I started out kind of slow, so I'm glad that everything came together at the end.
You might know, but for people who don't, I think baseball's such a tough sport. How do you work through something like that when maybe you do have a slow start? And is it mechanics things looking at it, or is it just give it some time?
It's just being confident and not getting in your head, I'd text my brothers after every game that asked me how I did. I'd say, 0 for 2, and they're just like, just keep swinging, you're better than that, and just have confidence.
Who on the team helps you stay light? Maybe, get out of your head a little bit and be like, all right, put a smile on your face after something goes wrong.
Usually when I'm pitching, Kilker over at third, he's always joking with me if something goes wrong, challenging me to be better. So,
going through the Wyoming Valley Conference season, were you guys able to focus really? What was that like as you're on these runs of so many shutouts and playing so well? What was that run like?
It was fun. Our team was having a great time with it, and we just have to keep focused.
What was the most fun during that run, be it on the field or off the field? What was the most fun you had during that time?
I'd have to say both. After pretty much every game, we would go to someone's house and hang out or go out to eat or whatever. So, on and off the field, we had a great time.
So you guys are still spending time with each other. You'll go play a game and then go all hang out with each other.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty much every game.
Did you guys, you guys had to grow up together, a lot of you too. Where'd you play your Little League?
I played in Hazleton Township.
All right, because a lot of these Valley West kids keep claiming, Valley West is the best. Did you guys ever talk about that, or?
No, I think if we bring the teams back right now, I think Hazleton Township wins it all.
Who else is representing Hazleton Township? Heroes do you have?
We got Nick Payne, Shamani, Verbonitz. I think that's it. But I'm confident with us.
Nick, too, you talked about hitting before. You had a big home run up at the stadium, too, and then your brother posted something. He sent me a quick text or something, the bat flip, too, and talking to the Dallas coach, too, after that, too. We talked about how much fun you have playing the game. Talk about the fun aspect of playing baseball.
It's just kind of part of being good, and, all the time we spend training over quarantine and everything that whole year, pays off, and you just go out there and have fun.
After what you went through last year, having to miss last year, your first varsity season too, how much more fun is it this year because of that?
We're definitely playing for those guys that didn't get to play last year.
So obviously, we talked. I did a story on Nick a few weeks ago about his influence of his brothers. You talk about that, Nick. They've been around you, and them being around all last summer. How much has that helped your game?
That was huge. Just like learning to be a pitcher, really. Because training. You just if you're motivated, you'll train hard, but them being around for actual games, and we could talk about stuff after outings, what they saw and what I need to do better. I think that was a really big part.
More
of it.
importantly than the mental aspect of the game, the mental aspect of pitching.
All right, well, Nick, we look forward to what's coming up in the postseason. Thank you for joining us here today on the podcast. We appreciate it. Jank Diaz joins us right now on the podcast. Sophomore, right? Yeah. 10th grade? Okay. Jank, you're out of breath. Hard practice today?
Yeah.
What were you doing right before we pulled you off?
He was getting ground ball and fly balls.
I was here for your practice a little bit ago, And Coach Kansler said, hey, if you could hit a home run here in batting practice, I'll give your group another round. Yeah. You did it. So then Coach Kansler said, hey, we're going to switch, go to the other side of the plate for this next round. It gets to Jank, and he said, if you hit one now on this last pitch, we'll go another round. Boom. Russ just stood there on the mound kind of shocked. Do you remember that moment? Was that a lot of fun?
I do.
Do you hit from both sides of the plate?
No, never.
So can you believe you hit that home run?
No, not at all.
Tell me about your hitting approach. You're only in 10th grade right now, but how would you describe yourself as a hitter, and what do you think makes you good out there?
You just see the ball and hit it hard. You get some contact and hit it.
Is there a certain pitch that you look for where you're like, this is it, this is my favorite pitch?
Yeah, fastball.
Fastball? Yeah. Any location or just fastball anywhere?
Any location, yeah.
You've probably seen Jank play a few times this year, Dave. Been impressed? I mean, what's
just the line drive, the wrists too, Jank. Your wrists have really impressed me too as a batter too. Do you have a favorite home run this year? I know the one we talked before about what do you hit at the stadium. Talk about that experience, hitting a home run at the stadium.
Favorite home run at the stadium, yeah.
Take us through that at bat. Do you remember it? What pitch is going to take us through the at bat?
Yeah, I was two strikes, 0 ball, and he threw me a slider, run down the middle, and hit it.
You have a lot of talent. Are you learning from some of the older guys on the team though? What's it like being here? Like, are you constantly learning?
Yeah, I'm learning from Michael Kilker. He hit well, and I see him hit it. Learning from him.
What's one lesson he told you? Can you think of something? What's something he told you that you remember?
You wait on the slider and hit it hard.
Yeah. Are you still working on that? Maybe the off-speed pitches a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jank too. I mean, your approach too. Talk about your background. How you came to Hazleton and like how you fit in with this team.
I came here in 2018 on September, and I stayed at home for like 8 months and didn't play because I was in New Jersey first. Then I came here to try out and throw and see the team, and I made it.
Did you play growing up? I mean, did you play baseball? Has this been your sport?
Yeah, signed 5 years old.
Okay. Did you play any other sports?
No.
No, just baseball. What makes you love it? What makes you want to go out there, come to practice, put the hard work in? Why do you love this game so much?
Just to put my family feel better and get better. Yeah.
Does it feel good? Like, what does your family say after a home run? Like, what's it like? What's it like at the house? What's it like after you hit a big home run?
They can't believe it because they haven't seen me play yet, but they know I'm good at it.
Proud of you.
Yeah, they're proud.
What would you like to finish this season? What would you be proud? What have you been proud of so far this season for you? Has it been your hitting? Has it been pit? What are you proud of?
I'm proud. Michael Kilker, he asked me how many home runs you want to hit, and this season I say 5. I have 4. I need 1 more.
So you guys got to keep going to get that 5th home run and hopefully a championship as well. Dave, any other questions for Jank while you have him?
No, Jank, it's just being a part of this team and to watch your development too, and just everybody fitting in. That's what I like about this team, the friendship that everybody has and everybody hanging out together, and it just makes for a whole fun experience, and it's a joy to watch you play. That's for sure.
What are you guys doing when you're hanging out? They're like, we hang out after the games and that. Like, do you guys play video games? Like, what's going on?
We play the show.
Yeah. How good are you at the show?
Not good.
Not good? That's something else you got to work on. Oh, yeah. I put it on the easiest mode there was, and I won the World Series, but I had no friends to play with, Dave. It was really, really sad. I'd like to get a tournament going, maybe with you guys. Jank, congratulations so far this season. Good luck in the postseason, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Bryce Molinero Jr. on the Hazleton Area High School baseball team playing shortstop. Bryce, what were you like as a Little League player? What was Bryce like back at, where'd you play Little League?
Valley East.
Valley East. So what were you like when you were at Valley East Little League? How would you describe your game back then?
I thought it was easier. I think my last year I had 26 home runs when I was 12, and then I don't know, it was just fun being around my friends. All-Stars was just a great experience. Made it to regionals the 1 year, and then it was just fun. Little League was like a great time.
So you said it was easier. When did you hit it in your career where you're like, all right, this is getting a little bit more difficult now? When was that? When you got in the junior high? I mean, high school?
Definitely first year Babe Ruth. I was like, wow, that field is way bigger. And then I just stuck to my game plan, and as the years progressed, I got a lot better.
How did you adjust? You talk about hitting all those home runs. I mean, was it adding strength? Was it just, also improving, looking at different pitches? How'd you keep developing?
Oh, yeah, definitely the weight room. And me and my dad, we used to go to our Babe Ruth field all the time. We just hit, field, make throws from shortstop to get, the bigger distance, get my throws down, and just a lot of practice and strength training.
Dave, I have one last question here, and mine is, everyone knows Hazleton's got a lot of talent. You guys could pitch, you guys could hit. What's one other thing you think has been a big factor this year that maybe people aren't making a big deal about this team?
Definitely our chemistry. Me and Brett in the middle infield, we have a lot of chemistry together. We played a lot in summer and fall. We know each other well. We know what we could do. And our outfielders, too, they have a lot of chemistry. They know where they have to be. They know who has a lot of range, who doesn't, who can cover most ground. And just the simple things like that makes our team a lot better.
Yeah, we talked a few weeks ago about your spot in the order, number 6, with your stats. 560 average, your slugging percentage is off the charts and everything. And a guy like you on a normal team might be batting 3rd or 4th in the lineup. You're batting 6th in the lineup, but you said you're comfortable in that spot. Talk about that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm comfortable. I know 1 through 5 we could hit, even 1 through 9 we could all hit. And no matter where I am, all of our teammates can make a great impact in scoring runs, getting our house money up. And batting 6, I love batting 6 behind Jank. It's just fun to watch him too.
Right. You talk about we talk about your wrestling. Obviously, you had a great run in wrestling the last couple of years too, and you were competing for a state championship there too. What's it like? How do you compare that, like competing for state district glory in wrestling to baseball with being part of a team doing it?
It's basically the same feeling. You get those nerves before the game, get those nerves before the match, and I personally like the nerves. I think I play better with nerves before the game, and I'm actually excited to get the nerves. I'm excited for playoff baseball because I want that same feeling back as I did at States.
And we talk about some of the guys on this team too that keep you cracked up too. You're usually like all business when you're on the field too, but you have guys like Nicky Biazzi and Alex Shell too keeping you loose too. Talk about that aspect of your team.
It's funny hearing them in the dugout when they're chirping. When we're at the bat, I hear what they call me. I start crackling. The Red Mane, that's my new nickname now. Whenever they say that, it's a fun time in the dugout, and I think we need them too to get our energy up and get our humor up and all of that.
My last question, Dave, is I forget how Coach Kansler put it in your article, something small ball. I forget how he said it. Basically, you guys are looking to score however possible, whether it's turning a corner here, squeezing a bunt in. I mean, what is that like playing that type of game? I mean, it has to be exciting. You also have a lot of power. Yeah. But what's that like, trying to score any way possible? Your mind would always have to be on the bases, on the...
So our mindset, if we score a lot of runs in the first 3 innings, then we can hack away. But small ball is a big part of baseball too, and people don't realize that. Like, if a runner gets on first, bunt them over to second, a little gapper, that's a run. It's as simple as that, and that's what we like to do best, and that's what we've been doing this season.
So it might be a lot more fun watching the Cougars this year than any Major League Baseball team, because that doesn't seem to be going on in the majors. It's just kind of...
Not bunting, no. Yeah, you don't play small ball in the majors.
Just going for the fences, and I'll tell you what, even being at practice... Do you have fun at practice?
Oh, all the time.
I can't believe how much fun I had at a Cougar practice. Like, I had a ball. I didn't want to leave. My wife had to call me. She's like, I need help at home. And I was like, I've been here for 3 hours, Russ. Well, Bryce, thank you so much. Good luck as you head into the postseason.
Thank you.
Senior Michael Kilker joins us now, pitcher and also playing the hot corner over at third base. And before we started recording, I was fascinated by this conversation. You guys were talking breakfast at Antonio's. And Dave, you had
I had the blueberry French toast with scrapple, actually.
No, nice. And you had...
I go with the Bavarian omelet and banana pancakes as a side.
What's in the Bavarian omelet?
It's like ham, bacon, peppers, onions.
All your protein.
It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of meat.
I think they should brand this. Can I go in there and be like, I'll have the Michael Kilker? Like, I feel like the baseball team did well enough this year.
They know my order when I go in there. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, they. He's like same thing. I'm like, yeah.
We're gonna test the popularity of this team and podcast when I go in there, Dave, and order the Michael Kilker. Eating on this team. I mean, do you guys are you guys going places together? Is there a popular place you guys like to go?
We like to switch it up, I'd say. We'll hit anywhere in Hazleton, really. I know we've went to like 10-pin after games.
Wings, or are you just doing anything?
I think that day was a cheesesteak special, so we got cheesesteaks.
I remember them too.
Yeah.
I'm asking this too because I remember when the Cougar basketball team was making their run. As you go in these local places, are people like, hey, good luck? Like, are you feeling love for the community?
You have your gear on sometimes. Like, I know we tried to get a sponsor at Applebee's after the one game. I know Marcus Labuda was wheeling and dealing with the manager.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was trying to get a sponsor.
Sponsor like you guys are going to get boneless wings after a game, or sponsor like, hey, we want some new gear?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what it was. I think maybe they were looking to put a sign up. I don't know, but
the players out there hawking the team. I like this. From last time we talked, you guys, I mean, we're on a great run then, but finished the regular season so strong. What was the difference between I know you had success in the beginning of the year too, but do you feel you heated up as the year even progressed, or no, or is it just consistent?
You know, I think like the out-of-conference teams that we played early in the season were really good, but we still competed really well against them, and we got the job done. You know, moving on, like, we 10-runned a lot of teams towards the end of the year. Our bats just got hot. You saw a lot more home runs, I think, as the weather got warmer. Balls started to fly more, and people just started to figure it out.
Yeah, you talk about the competitive aspect, too. I mean, a lot of these practices have probably been more competitive than some of your games, too. Yeah. Talk about the friendly competition that goes on between you guys as pitchers.
Oh, as pitchers, that's where it gets really competitive, because we got me and Nick Biazzi's probably one of the most competitive people I know. So we're always just going back and forth. And then you got Labuda, Brett, Shamani, and the rest of them. Like Bryce he's never pitched for us, but he hops off and gets on the mound, and he's just as good as all of us. Like, he's really good too. So it's just fun to watch.
What was Nick like? Because Nick seemed quiet when we were talking with him here. What is Nick like when he's around you guys and being competitive?
He's not quiet.
What's the most amazing thing, or what's something you've watched from other pitchers in that where you've been like, wow, or anything out on this field? Have you? It has to be impressive night in and night out watching this team play.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could pick something out from every guy that you're like, wow, that's impressive. I mean, Jank's power as a sophomore, being that big of a kid, but like his power is pretty impressive, I think. Like, his BPs are pretty fun to watch.
He's hitting home runs batting right-handed and left-handed
yeah, right?
too in practice.
Yeah,
too.
It's just in like flick of the bat too. There's no like extra power to that. Like, he's not trying too hard.
His wrists are very strong. That's his strong. That's his strength.
Obviously, we're concentrating on this year's team, and there's a lot of talents around it. When all is said and done this season, though, how important is it to you seniors that something is left behind, that they learn from all of you who are going to really good colleges, and that the Hazleton program is still producing in years to come?
Right, yeah. I mean, we just want to – I've been thinking about that a lot recently. I want to leave something behind, like, you know, just having meaningful conversations with all the younger guys, you know. Just being able to make an impact, that's a big thing.
And I'm sorry, Ken, if you can go, like, not only for next year's guys you want to leave something too, but you want to remember who didn't get a chance to play last year. Those guys, like, didn't have a season. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I think I tweeted something, like, right when the season ended, I said that we dedicate this season to the 2020 class because, you know, I love all those guys too. You know, those are my guys coming up throughout the ranks, so definitely want to do something for them this year too because they didn't get the chance to.
Michael, how old were you when you realized, like, hey, I might have a special talent, or this might be something where I could go to college for, or this is something I could go? Was there a time or something where something shifted, or was it just a natural, it just kept going?
I was always decent. I think when I was 11 or 12, my dad and I and other people told me, like, you have a legit shot at this, you know, so keep your head on straight and work hard. And I've worked really hard ever since, and it's not going to stop. You know, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, you guys work really hard too. I mean, I was out of practice and I was mentally exhausted after it. I mean, it's not just like you guys are so talented and you just go out there and everything happens for you.
Yeah, I mean, we're going, like, me and Biazzi are going to the gym after this. We're always in the gym. If we have an off day, we're usually throwing, doing something, hitting. It never really stops, you know. And it's not really like a forced thing. You know, we want to get better, so it's just we do it because we want to. It's not like, oh, we have to go do this. It's like we get to go do this.
Do you guys talk about goals? I mean, are you guys talking, let's get this district, let's get this, let's keep going as far as, or is it just kind of like just let's go and we're playing baseball?
It's one game at a time, definitely. But that's from the day we stepped on the field, first practice at Harmon Geist, it was, you know, we know what the goal is this year. You know, we got a district my sophomore year 2 years ago. We want to step it up from there. Obviously, districts is first, but, you know, state championship is the ultimate goal.
All right, so first we got the Michael Kilker at Antonio's, next on to districts, and who knows after that. Michael, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. Good luck in the postseason. Alex Shell joins us right now, a senior playing right field. Dave said, I can't wait to talk to Alex today. He's always a good time. Do you feel that, like, you're the lighthearted, like, people Dave wanted to talk to you today? Said it would be a good time.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty funny. I think I've got a lot of stuff to say. I'm creative with the stuff I have to say, so I could see why.
All right, so feeling no pressure here, like you would in the batter box. You're just ready to go. Podcast is your wheelhouse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you talk about the one-liners too. I said I sit in the chair there. Good thing I had a mask on for a lot of those games because other teams would have seen me laughing on the side of the. Who has better one-liners, you or Nick Biazzi?
I think that I probably have like more good ones, but his are like the best. So if there was like a top 50, I'd have more spots in the top 50, but he'd be at the top.
How important is that side of the game, though, and how much do you really enjoy that? I mean, every now and then, like, you'll see into, like, a major league dugout, and you'll see them, like, the personalities come out a little bit, but how much fun is that, like, just going back in there and having a good time?
I think that's what makes you a great team. You know, we have the talent to be a good team, but I think that playing together, a lot of us have played together since we were young, so just that chemistry is what makes you a great team, being able to play together on the field and obviously enjoy each other's time off the field.
And how much, having Russ, too, who's been around, obviously, in the, International League and at the major league level, too, having him as a coach to let that side out of you. You have that fun side, too. I mean, how much does that play into that?
Yeah, I think Russ does a good job always pushing us and letting us have, like, a lot of fun, but also knowing when to reel it in and when to hold each other accountable for stuff. So I think we have a really good balance between enjoying ourselves, but also being serious about the game.
One thing you're serious about, too, is, I don't know of another number 9 hitter in the state who's as good as Alex is batting right now, batting 3+, whatever it is right now, too. When you come up in that situation, I mean, is there pressure, no pressure?
I'd say there's minimal pressure for being the 9-hole hitter. I mean, like, I actually enjoy it a lot because you get a lot of fastballs. There's not a lot of pressure. You just get to go up there, try to flip the lineup, try to get on base and do your job.
What when you look back on this team, both on the field and off the field, what do you hope to tell your grandkids about, like, one day? How would you look back? I know there's still more of this story to write, but how do you look back on the 2021 Cougars right now?
Right now, I'd say we're leaving it all out there. We're not holding back on anyone. We're definitely, like, I don't think we've had any games so far this season that we could look back on and say, I wish we would have done this or I wish we would have done that. I think we're leaving it all out on the field, and I think that's what's most important right now.
Has the foot been on the gas? I mean, even the big wins in that, it wasn't like, not that you're running up the score or anything, but it's not like you guys were taking it off and being like, okay, every at-bat was still like, no, I'm going out there, I'm doing my job.
Yeah, that's what Coach Barron always says. It's like a practice run for the real thing, for playoffs, that every game we're trying to be completely perfect. We're not trying to, like you said, like take our foot off the gas. We're trying to keep it on. We're trying to do everything right. We're trying to win games by big numbers. Like you said, not run up the score, but do everything right and put ourselves in a good position.
Do you do well in school? Are you a good student? I mean, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Have you always been a pretty good student?
Yes.
Yeah? What's your favorite subject?
Physics.
Physics? Why is that?
Just the way the world works. I enjoy it.
I love physics, man. I wish I was better at science. I wish I was more Neil deGrasse Tyson than doing sports journalism right now. Yeah. But do you want to do something with that eventually, or no, you're just like kind of...
I'm going for mechanical engineering next year, so I want to do something like that. My ultimate goal is to work for like NASA or SpaceX, put people on Mars. It's ambitious, but that's what I really want.
Let's stay in touch, please, because if I could get a tour of like the SpaceX facility something, or one day I'll be like, hey, remember you're on that podcast one time. I don't have that job anymore, but I ask you this because Dave said you seem like such a bright person, and I would think baseball too, even in the outfield and that, like, your mind is always going. So if you're out there and you're playing, you have to be thinking about, okay, if it comes to me, there's a runner here. What is it like during a baseball game?
I think that, like Russ always tells us, it's tough. You have to be ready for, if there's 110 pitches in a game, you have to be 110 pitches. This pitch is coming to me. This ball is coming to me in the outfield. If it's here, where do I go? If it's here, where do I go? So I think it's just a lot of it's intelligence, but also mental toughness, mental preparedness, that at all times you just need to be ready for the ball to be hit to you and be ready to make a play on it and know where you're going with it.
Do you ever think about physics in baseball? What's going into here? Or is it just put your eye on the ball and just hit? Don't overcomplicate it.
See ball, hit ball.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
We talked about playing for last year's guys. How important is that to you?
Definitely really important. I mean, it actually is good. One of my friends, Corey Zientek, is playing for Scranton right now. They just won their first ever league championship. So it's good to see, like, we're actually following a lot of how they're doing, and they're doing well. But I think that at our level, it's important that we play for them, play for the year that they missed, play to make up for our missed year last year, and just try to do everything that we can.
Excellent. Alex, thank you so much. We appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you guys.
Ryan Verbonitz joins us now, senior, playing catcher and first base as well for the Hazleton area Cougars. And Dave, you said batting cleanup in this order. I mean, very high distinction with so many talented people. What's it like just being in the order in that? I mean, do you guys have so much fun when you're out there? Is it pressure to keep the train going, or is it just a lot of fun?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome because, like, as soon as like something gets going, everybody gets fired up, and then when you come up, it's your turn to like pitch into it, and I mean, it's just great, and it's just like an honor to be in the lineup because we have so many other guys that can like take my spot whenever they want to.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have had that in situations too, where people have come off the bench, right, and contributed a lot this season. So it hasn't just been.
I mean, like, that's huge because that just means everybody's staying ready. So, like, even if you're on a bench and you don't start that game, you could just come in and hop right in and get a hit for us or steal a base or whatever.
What is it like going back into a dugout or before you're at bat and having someone like Russ Kansler there to talk with and say, okay, this is what I saw? I mean, do you guys do that during the game at all?
Yeah, it usually depends on like what the situation is or whatever, but Russ usually he'll come up to us and be like, yo, like, this is your approach, like, this is what like you need to do. He like preaches just like move runners, so like if we have a runner on second with like no outs, your job is either get a hit or just move them over. So in my case, batting lefty, you just roll over to second base or just hit something on the right side.
What usually is your hitting approach or style? How would you describe it? Just in general, like if you just had to go out there now and play, what's Ryan Verbonitz like?
Usually it's just kind of like just let my hands do everything. Just kind of like, I don't know, just see where the ball is going to be and just kind of just try to barrel something at all times, no matter where it is or what pitch.
Like quick hands. Could you describe that to people too? Because I feel I'm still like when I go out to a batting cage, I still can't catch up to baseballs. Actually, I went up to what's the place over in the Heights?
Harp.
Yeah, thank you. I was there when they installed that new system,
really?
and I was like, I want to play at Fenway. And my goal
was thing.
Yeah, my goal was to hit one off the monster. Yeah. I was like, put it on the easiest level, little league, and I still could do it. When you say quick hands in that, like what does that really
It just
entail?
usually means like let your knob kind of like lead the way to the ball, like the path of the ball, and then just read it and then try to just stay inside the ball like as good as you could, and then that way you just extend through with the barrel, and that's pretty much just contact and an extension.
Nice. Have you used hit tracks up there, or have you used hit tracks?
Yeah, I did. I used to do lessons with Russ up there my like freshman year, and that's when it was still up there, and we used to use it all the time.
What did you learn maybe from doing that, or even from when you were little? Like, how do you think you changed as a hitter?
I kind of struggled actually my freshman year after using a hit track because I just get in there and just try to hit bombs. Yeah. And I'd come off the bat, and I ended up hitting a home run my freshman year. And after that, it was just I was under everything. So I mean, it's good for like younger kids, but like when you get older, it's just better to just kind of just pick one thing and work on it in the cage.
One of the things you worked on, obviously, we talked about earlier in the season too, is your switch hitting too. Not many kids at your age switch hit. Tell us about that. How that started.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I think I was like 8 years old, and me and my dad would just kind of like play around with like those little like Nerf ball things or whatever they are, and I'd get a bat and he'd just throw them to me, and I'd be like, yo, like I'm gonna take some lefty, and he'd be like, all right, and it gradually just moved on to, like in the cage, like when we'd go hit, I'd do that lefty too. And then like all throughout Little League and that, like nobody would let me do it. So then it just kind of like stopped. And then every winter I kind of like picked it back up, and towards the beginning of the season. And then it would stop when the season started, and then it was just like a trend, and I'd just pick it back up. And then eventually the one day I was doing a lesson with Russ actually, and we were just talking, and I was like, yeah, like I could hit lefty. So like I started doing it with him, and he was like, dude, like you have to do it, like you could definitely do it. So then it just, from that point on, it's just been something that I've been working on.
Are you more comfortable batting one side or the other?
Right now I'm more comfortable lefty, and my dad's not a fan of that because my natural side's righty, and he's like, I told you have to just balance it out, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
Did you keep doing it when you were younger because you thought, hey, this could be an asset when I get older, or were you just doing it because you wanted to do it? You were young and you're like, this is something I want to do.
I did it because my favorite player growing up was Matt Wieters on the Orioles. Okay. He was a catcher, and he switch hit. So I was like, oh, like I see him doing it, like I might as well try it out. And it just kind of stuck with me. And then, I mean, it's something I've always wanted to do. I just never had the opportunities to do it.
So you're doing catcher and first base on this team, right? What's it like catching some of these pitchers and getting to work with them? I mean, what's that even like?
I've grown up with pretty much all of them, so it's kind of like I've been playing with like Michael, Marcus, Shamani, and like Biazzi since like Little League pretty much. So it's just kind of like as they got older, it's just kind of just like reading their velocity and just stuff like that. I mean, it's awesome to work with them though.
Is it nice that you all go back that far, that you have like this relationship and you kind of know each other on the field and off the field, I guess?
Yeah, that's definitely something that like helps us win, because like we're all friends, like we all hang out outside of the field too, like we don't do anything without each other. So it's like we go out to eat, like it's with the whole group of us. So like that's something, just like the team chemistry is something that helps us win games, and it's great.
All right, thank you so much for your time, and good luck rest of the way. Thank you. Now on the podcast we have Luke and Grant Russo. Luke is a junior who's played playing outfield and pitcher, and Grant is a sophomore who is playing catcher. Thank you for joining us, guys. Dave, we talked a lot about family today. A lot of guys telling us like their fathers helping them out when they were younger. We got 2 brothers here now. How would you describe yourself as a pitcher? There's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different talent on the team. What are you like as a pitcher?
More of a get the guy out, not really a strikeout guy, just trying to put the ball over the plate and get strikes and hope that they get soft contact.
Yeah, how do you do that? I mean, I always wonder. I was telling the other guys, like, I'm a video game guy. It's the only way I understand baseball other than watching it. That's always my philosophy. I'm like, I want them to put it in play. How do you do that without maybe making it too appealing to the hitter? Is it hitting spots?
Yeah, just where the catcher sets up, try and hit the spot, get a couple calls from the umpire.
How often are you catching your brother? Is that often?
Yeah, pretty often. I've been catching him since day one, I'd say.
So how would you describe? He just described himself. How would you describe him as a pitcher? Kind of like that too.
Yeah, hit his spots, very accurate, reliable.
Working with this pitching staff this year, what has your relationship been like with them and just with communicating? How has that gotten better throughout the year? I mean, you guys have been playing together for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better. Just learning everyone, their tendencies, what they like to go to, what pitches, and then even still, we're still trying to work on it, but it's definitely getting where we want it to be.
What's the biggest challenge working with? Is there a challenge working with this group? Is it making sure your hand doesn't fall off from the speed or the velocity? Like, what's it?
It's definitely really fun, just the caliber of guys we have. It's tough because the ball is, like, they got a lot of movement on it. Their pitches are dirty, but it's really fun just having that view from behind the plate.
I was going to say, how much did it help you improve, maybe doing that, having to get used to so much movement and speed?
Definitely made it a lot easier.
Do you see some pitches and you're like, whoa, I wasn't going to hit that if I was up?
Yeah, I do. I do have that reaction sometimes.
If you were throwing to your brother, what would you throw to Grant?
Probably a lot of off speed. Try and get him to not think that it's fastball right down the middle, because he's probably going to hit it if it is. So.
Talk about your role as catalyst on this team. When I talked to you a few weeks ago, we talked about, it just seems like almost every game, Grant gets on, he gets walk, he gets a base hit, he bunts for a base hit. Luke's coming up, he's either bunting him over or he's drawing a walk, he's getting a base hit, and before you know it, there are 2 runners on for the meteor order. Talk about that role on your team.
Well, we kind of know what our job is, just get on base and try to get those runs across.
Right, and how comfortable is it too? Like when you're, getting a lead for your team and your pitchers, you're up 2-3-0 before long.
Yeah, that's great. It gives them a lot of assurance, gives them more confidence, probably. Lets them know that we get everything done.
And we talked with some of the other guys about bunting too. You guys are 2 of the better bunters on the team too. Do you think that's a lost art now that you guys, is it drilled into you that we have to be good at this part in the game?
Yeah, from a young age we started bunting because we're of our speed mostly. If we can't, it's late in the game, can't first batter up, gotta try and bunt the guy on, get another run, something like that.
Russ seems like he's very active too. Let's score runs any ways possible. So is it often having to stay on there and be like, all right, am I going to second now? Am I looking to take third? Like, how often are you guys moving on the bit? Or is it let's let the guys hit?
Usually, I think he's going to try and steal me every time.
Yeah.
I always think he is, so I always got to be ready.
All right. Who's the faster brother? Do you know? Is this a question you get a lot, or have you guys ran up against each other?
It's very, very, very close. Very close? Very close.
I think people, Dave, sometimes they read the standard speaker and they just think it's easy. You're just like, oh yeah, I see the Hazleton baseball's team's good. They'll probably keep winning. They might win a state title. Okay, yeah. How important is it to you guys to win, but also to enjoy this time? Like, you guys seem like you're having fun. Like, how important is it to be as a team and just enjoy this experience?
Yeah, it's really fun just to play with these guys. We've been playing with them forever. Coach Kansler really stresses just keep it the game that you fell in love with.
Guys, I have to ask you this because we're getting ready to cover it. We're actually doing a countdown to the state, both Valley West guys, countdown to the state Little League tournament at Valley West. What was the best part of playing Valley West Little League growing up?
Just being with your friends, playing against your friends, being on the same team as them, then going to play some of these guys in districts in the All-Stars. So it was very fun doing that.
Grant and Luke, thank you so much. Good luck in the postseason.
Thank you.
Batting cleanup on this podcast, we have head coach Russ Kansler, who was it's the first ever, he's our first two-time guest on the Good Sports Podcast. So Russ, thank you for coming. Middle of a practice, we appreciate it. I heard you and Dave talking right before I hit record, you saying, hey, you got to like who you're playing with. You're around each other so much. This team genuinely does. I'm sure that doesn't always happen. I mean, you've been on a number of teams, but this seems like a team that not only has talent, but they really get along and they're really close friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it starts with the senior leaders, Mike Kilker, Alex Shell, Matt Shamani. You know, these guys have known each other for a long time. They've been playing baseball together for a long time, and it's true. I mean, you know, you're spending a ton of time together. You're here for a couple hours at practice. You know, we're talking to you, you know, off the field, checking in on these guys. They spend time together off the field. You know, they go out to eat, have dinners together, that type of thing. So that is a big part of it, because, you know, you want to love and trust the guy who's next to you on the field, and know that he has your back just like you have his back. That's a big thing for me. I think, you know, when you do get in those dogfight games where everything's close, you know, when you love the guys that you're playing with and you love your teammates, you're gonna put your body on the line, do everything you can to help them out.
Russ, I talked with a few of them. You talked to me about it. Scoring by any means necessary and doing it early in games, I guess, and then being able to hit for a little bit more freely, the guys were telling me. Is that the philosophy, really? Or the?
I can't really say. I can't give you all my secrets. But
yeah.
no, I well, I mean, we knew in the beginning of the season here, leading into what we had with the pitching and the amount of arms that we had, the talent that we had on the mound, the athletes that we had defensively, we had some question marks with offense. You know, a lot of these guys are just pitchers in the summer, so they don't spend a lot of time working on their craft with hitting. So we weren't really sure where we're going to be at offensively. So that was kind of our philosophy coming into the season. Let's do whatever we have to do, use our athletic ability to our favor to score runs any way possible. We've bunted more than I ever thought I would put the bunt signal on, you know, in the third base coach's box. We bunted a ton. It's played great for us. Guys are getting great reads on the bases, taking the extra base when the game calls for it, stealing, you know, anything we can do to make. I always looked at it as a hitter, if you can come up and the guy's on third base with one out, your job gets really simple. You just have to, you know, especially early in the game, you might just have to put a ball in play. Even if you're out, you're getting an RBI and your team's getting an early lead. And high school baseball is such a momentum game, you know, there's a lot of emotion that goes into it. So if you could take the pressure off the players early and you can get them to contribute, whether it be a bunt, a walk, a steal, you know, just hitting a ground ball and moving a runner, that's been so big for us. And then, yeah, once we get that lead, you know, we do have the talent and the guys have the ability to expand the field a little bit, and feel really good about the game that they're having up to that point. And I think it's showing later in the games we're putting up some pretty crooked numbers.
I wanted to ask that question because, Russ, the practice I was at, you guys bunted for a while. There was a competition really based on it, but I saw that there, and I remember toward the end, you came over and you whispered to one of the last bunters, and you put a squeeze on. You were going to try to squeeze the run, and it worked. And I remember, I didn't put it on the air or anything, but I remember Russ coming over and being like, that's going to work. I heard you say it to somebody. The very next game, I read in the Standard Speaker, there was a bunt squeeze, and you guys scored on that play. So it's translating. I mean, the kids are getting your message, and they really seem like they're buying into everything the coaching staff is telling you.
Yeah, and the results are shown, I think, and they're seeing that. They're seeing the way the game's kind of changing in our favor early on, where we're able to score those runs. Look, bunting is probably, you know, next to walking and getting hit by a pitch, it's like one of the things you hate to see when the coach puts it on. But what we've stressed with these guys from the beginning of the season, that's the most selfless thing that you can do on the baseball diamond, is you can bunt, because, again, you know, you're helping out the guy behind you. You're making his job that much easier. If he's got a guy in scoring position when he comes up and he hits a blooper, you just made his day. It can't happen without you doing it, though. You can't happen without you wanting to do it. And then what we've seen a lot of, too, is that guys are still getting hits for it. You know, they're putting down a sacrifice bunt. They're getting so good at it that they're putting it in no man's land, and they're getting a hit out of it, too. So, you know, it's benefiting everybody. And I think, you know, there was a little bit of a learning curve with it where they had to get comfortable and buy in. And once we popped some good teams with it, they really bought in with it.
And it helps your pitchers out too, because your pitchers get a couple of runs too. They're pitching with a whole lot of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you ask any pitcher, they love pitching with a cushion, and, you know, it gives them a little bit of room for error. And I think that their pitching gets better because they know that they don't have to be so fine, and every pitch is so stressful for them.
Russ, I asked the guys, last question I'll have on this, Dave, and then you could go, but I said I would say it's probably more fun watching some of the Cougar baseball games this year than Major League. You guys are putting it in play and getting it out there and willing to play some of that small ball a little bit, yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, you're speaking to a larger theme. We actually had the boys up to a Rail Riders game last Friday as a little team bonding thing, and, you know, they were I was happy. I wanted them to go see that, and I'm watching the game, and I haven't sat and watched a professional game in a while, and I'm like looking at my watch. I'm like, man, 7-8 minutes since the ball's been just put in play, and they're watching. They're like, Coach, their infield's back. We could bunt on these guys. We should play the Rail Riders, or we could steal on that third baseman. He's not paying attention. The pitcher's never checking the runner. So the fact that they're paying attention to the nuances of the game, was really cool.
Yeah, you knew you had like the talent obviously coming into this season too, but like to see they're expanding their mental game too. How pleasing is that as a coach?
That's everything. I mean, I think as a coach, it's hard. You want to ingrain yourself in every situation, but the best teams have players that have their own instincts. I mean, we try to create that atmosphere in practice where they're learning on the fly and getting their own base running reads and facing each other. We're facing our pitchers a lot, so they're developing the confidence that way. But yeah, I mean, when you have the instincts, what we always stress is you have to be one play ahead of the game. Your at-bat's over, good, bad, or indifferent, you're now a base runner, and you have to start anticipating and reviewing, certain things that may happen. So when it does happen, you've already been there in your mind, which is not always easy to do. But I think for the most part, these guys have been doing it.
How do you coach a team with this much talent? I know you've had probably a number of good coaches playing at highest levels in that, but I think sometimes it's because even when I bring in interns, Christian's an intern with us, and he's very talented. Like, I could tell he has certain gifts, and I think the challenge becomes, well, he knows so much already. How do I help mold that? I mean, what do you try to do as a coach when you have something like this?
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, this is a talented team. There's no question. But I mean, I thought I was on the best team ever when I played for Hazleton. When you look at the teams that had Tony Hernandez and the Bussie brothers and Joey Barron, I mean, there's 4 guys that got in professional baseball. I thought that was the best team ever that came through. Now, they're talking about this team. The proof is in the pudding when you look at the numbers that they've put up and what they've done. But you're right. I mean, it's way different now. You're seeing kids that are much more polished mechanically. You're looking at them, what they can do on the mound. There's not much to say when you're breaking down their mechanics. Hitting, same thing. They know, their swings, and they work so much at it, and they play so much baseball in the offseason. I think where I feel like I can help the most is the inner game. The mentality behind it to be successful. How do you take that great swing? How do you make that happen more often than not in a game? Or how do you go through an 0 for 2 and still get over that mentally and be ready for your third at bat or your fourth at bat, which could really help us out. So I think that's where my experiences in the game and failing at every level and experiencing some success has really helped.
Russ, we talk a lot about failing in baseball, and that is a part of it. What about the success? You guys go on a run at the end of the season where the teams are having a real struggle putting runs up against you. You're scoring a lot of runs. How do you handle the other end of that when you're trying to stay focused and keep that rolling?
Yeah, you have to hold them accountable to our standard for excellence. Our team standard, their individual standards. There is definitely, a time this season where we fought the complacency. Man, it's hard when you're beating teams by 15 runs every game, and you're playing a team you beat by 15 runs, and it's hard to get excited for practice that day when you're probably going to win. But what I always tell them is, look, success is something that you have to repeat. When you're successful, as soon as that's over, it's over. You're not successful until you perform the successful act. And that's just the standard that you have to hold for yourself. It's regardless of who you're playing, regardless of, if you're supposed to win, if it's supposed to be a close game, it's your personal standard that you have to hold yourself accountable to.
Yeah, we've talked before about early in the season too, when you were challenged too, your guys responded to those situations too. It's been a while since you've been in that kind of situation. How do you think your guys will respond? How do you expect that?
I think they're ready. I do. I think they're ready. I think that they've been through a lot of things together, the ups and downs early in the season. We just had 2 inter squads this week where we kicked the crap out of ourselves, and we're facing Kilker and Labuda and Antolik. We're in there having tough at bats. One of our teams was losing, one of our teams was winning, and they're trying to figure out how to hold the lead. They're trying to figure out how to come back. So, I think when you're in those tough games and you're in those situations, that's where this comes in. That's why I love somebody like Mike Barron on our coaching staff, who preaches a perfect day in practice every single day. Your throws, your BP, you have to come in here every day with the goal of perfection. Because when you do get in those dogfights, it really just comes down to your training. You don't have time to react. You don't have time to think or worry. It happens so fast. You're going to default to what you've trained and how hard you've worked your repetitions.
Right, Russ, you've put together a lot of stats this year that are really incredible when you talk about the shutout streak and team ERA of 1.39, team batting average 386, OPS 1.066. I mean, which one's most impressive to you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say on the pitching side, obviously our team ERA is great. That's a reflection on those guys and the hard work they put in. I think our strikeout to walk ratio has probably been the most impressive thing. It's very easy in high school to know you throw hard and know you can put it by guys and not overthrow. I don't think we've had an issue where we've, walking 2-3 guys an inning. We just haven't had that. They've commanded the strike zone very well. And then offensively, the on-base percentage, to have I think what you said, over almost a 500 on-base percentage, you're flipping a coin and a guy's getting on base for you. That's incredible. And that's discipline. That's discipline in the plate. You're not always going to get a hit, but are you chasing pitches? Are you working deep counts? Are you putting the ball in play with 2 strikes? So the fact that we've gotten on base that much has been awesome for us.
Russ Michael Kilker told us how important it is for him to leave a legacy. He's starting to think about, hey, what are we going to leave some of these younger guys? As your class graduated in that, a number of them came back to this area and gave back, trained some of these kids. I think of Justin Gutsy, in the Gutsiest Sports Academy.
Kyle Landis.
Yeah, Kyle Landis. I think of you, there was a lot in your class who gave back to this area. Do you take some pride in that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Even going to Jeff Antolik, who coached in Valley West Little League, and honestly, I'm seeing the product of that with a lot of the kids that are from Valley West that Jeff had in the regular season or All-Stars for years there as his boys were coming up. But you mentioned Justin and Kyle and myself and Mike Barron, who's been doing it for I don't want to age him, but a long time. That's important. I always felt like I loved playing, and I wish I was still playing. I obviously miss playing, but I always thought, man, when I'm done, I want to come back and I want to give the advantage that I have now in the game to these kids at a younger age. We were just so raw when we were young and we played. So to give them a leg up on the kids that are from the warmer states that are playing all year round, to teach them the game and the finer things, it's something it is a very close second to playing for me. I love playing, but to coach a kid and to help him improve his game and to help him maybe get over something mentally and see that on the field is an awesome feeling for me as a coach.
Dave, I have one last question for Russ, and he kind of brought it up, but I had the note on it anyway. Your team in high school versus this team on the field. Do you think that would that be? That'd be a great. That would be a great. For that one, yeah.
That'd be a great game. I think they beat us just because of the depth. Yeah. It's the depth. It's the guys on the bench would be heavy contributors for any team in the Wyoming Valley Conference. I think that's the difference, and the pitching depth. When we were in high school, if you threw 85, that was like facing Nolan Ryan. So to have 6 or 7 of those guys, I think we'd be a little scared at first. I don't. I mean, we give them a game, but I think all in all, the athleticism, the speed. You have guys here that can have a bad day at the plate and hit 3 choppers and go 3 for 3. I think that's the difference.
They have more younger guys contributing too than when you were basically an upper class dominated team back then.
Yeah, I think we had 8 seniors. I was the only underclassman that was playing that year. So I think they take it to us.
Dave, anything else for us while we have them?
No, it's just when you look at this team too, we're going to look at it historically, regardless of what happens in the playoffs too, and it's just raising the bar too. So I mean, the question I guess is like, how do you continue this success then too? I mean, because you got guys waiting in the wings that are hungry to continue this now. How do you like?
Yeah, it goes back to why I took the job. I wanted to bring my culture to it, the type of baseball that I wanted to be played at the high school, the type of attitudes I wanted to see in the players. They know what the standard is now. They know what we expect as coaches every single day from these guys. We want to bring out the absolute best in them. The cool thing with the success of this team is you're seeing a lot of excitement. I'm down at Valley West constantly because my kid's in the league, and there's little kids wearing the Hazleton area Cougars hat, and they're coming up to the games, and we see them here to see that support. So it goes back to like when I was a kid and I watched the basketball team with Coach Leib. That's what you aspired to be. You're like, man, I can't wait to play on that court. So hopefully we're creating that same type of culture where kids in the area look forward to coming here and playing baseball, and they know what the standard is. We expect to win.
Russ, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Russ was on Season 1 of Good Sports. Season 2, maybe we can keep the streak going in Season 3. Thank you so much for your time today, Coach.
You've been listening to Good Sports with Dave and Ken, brought to you by SSP TV and the Hazleton Standard Speaker.